That's the neat part. We're never there.
Okay, well, we are live now, so hey everyone, welcome to episode 34 of Cast in the Shadows, and yeah, so you're saying supposedly Star Citizen Alpha 3.14 is going to go live sometime this week, supposedly.
Soon TM.
Soon TM.
That's the rumor.
That is the rumor indeed. But yeah, and you're saying, yeah, I agree. I want it now. Yeah, so that's...
I mean, essentially it is, we do have it. It's just named PTU. But,
you're right. Well, it's just the PTU frame rate, just in general, like this is just a thing that happens only in the PTU, like it won't happen in live builds because of the optimization. When you're at locations that don't have bad frame rates, we'll often have bad frame rates in the PTU, or just have like varying frame rates, whereas in the live build, you can fly around like you're on the surface of Yellow or something, and 60 frames, all that, no problem, stuff, and but in the PTU you're gonna have problems.
Yeah,
that's just how it is.
I'm just not a fan of having to re-download it every time, and it also,
you can just copy your folder over, right?
Well, no, you got to like every time a new PTU comes out, you got to download the new PTU, and then when it comes out to the PU, then you got to download it to the PU.
Well, sure, but it only has to download the difference. It doesn't have to download, like at least back in the day, you had to re-download the whole damn game again. Now it's just like, you can just download whatever changed, which is so much nicer.
It also depends on your internet speed, so...
I mean, yeah.
It's like if you have like a gigabyte speed or something, you're not going to be complaining as much.
Yeah. But anywho.
So we got ISC last week. Cam and I were just talking about, before we came in, we were talking about the Star Citizen Live and how boring it was. Which is unfortunate because it was a topic I really like, but...
To me, it was like 45 minutes of boring and like 15 minutes of interesting, and that was
I wouldn't even say that
the last 15.
I pretty much just went and clipped the video a couple of times. I was like, kind of interesting, kind of interesting. Go to the last 5 minutes, whatever.
The one thing just my personal thing that I found extremely annoying was the way he kept just sliding when they were in the first 45 minutes of like the chat section, he was showing like a video clip and he would just keep like sliding it back and forth. So it'd like go, rewind, go, rewind, back, go. Like he wasn't actually doing anything. He was just sliding the slider back and forth while he talked. And it was just kind of like, dude, just stop fidgeting.
But it's amusing.
Yeah, amusing him, not us.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's one of those things where people don't realize, like, you kind of like watching a streamer. Like some streamers don't realize that they are thinking about what they're going to do, so it makes sense when they constantly like look to their left. But if they're not, making the viewer aware of that, the viewer's trying to like look at something, and all of a sudden the view keeps changing. He's like, quit fucking jerking.
Hey, I'm trying to see this fucker over here sneaking around, not looking to your left, and the player's like, hey, I've got a contact coming up on my left. I saw him out of the corner of my eye. I need to be watching there.
Right. By making the viewer aware of that, then the viewer's not getting jerked around. It kind of felt like that. Like he's just constantly jerking the rewind button, but not explaining like what are we supposed to be looking at, or does it matter, kind of a thing. I don't know, just a personal tick. Triggered.
Always.
Trigger warning. This is the Andrew Clavin Show. Okay.
No, I've been there's the guy Dyslexy from Shack Tech, big Arma community guy,
right?
And he does really great videos. But in the last like year, he's gotten into like in a mission. If he dies, he'll go into like a third-person cinematic thing, and he'll just roam around the map as like the rest of the guys are fighting, and kind of like watch what's going on. But you can tell that he's thinking about his own, like he's got his own idea of what he's looking for. So like you'll have the camera spotted on some guy who's in a firefight with like all these AI around him, and you're trying to watch what's going on, and meanwhile Dyslexia is like panning the camera over to a helicopter that's flying over, and you're like, I don't want to look at the helicopter. Show me the guy who's fucking in the firefight.
Right.
You know?
Show me the battle, not the intel.
I mean, I'm not faulting him. He's doing his thing. He's getting his cam footage or whatever.
Yeah, but he's not communicating to the viewers.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes you gotta need to see, like, okay, what would the viewers be seeing, and kind of go from that point of view.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I think that's overall the problem with Star Citizen Live, at least last week, that specific episode. Inside Star Citizen, though, was definitely a lot better. They talked about the loot generation and just loot in general.
Did you get on the note of that, did you also get a clip at all of the fire propagation they were talking about?
I literally have ISE playing in the background right now.
Okay.
So.
Just because, honestly, that was, it's a bit of a long clip, but it's still really freaking cool to see. And they're like, oh, by the way, this is at 30 minutes later. If you're off doing something else or you don't realize something else is going on.
Yeah, I like that. It's like, oh yeah, that's not going to buff out.
I mean, yeah. You might want to get some bleach or something.
They also talked about the kind of the damage particle effects in the game, and how at the moment they're kind of static to the ship. But what they're doing now is going to make them more dynamic, and how it's like, okay, if the ship's moving and you shoot at it, the sparks that fly off the ship aren't going to be moving with the ship. They're going to be staying in place as the ship's moving along. That was nice. And they even talked about, it's a small detail, but the small details are what matter.
Yeah, that's what sets the immersion.
Yep. Also, I like how the clip here, the loot, where you have the guy holding a box full of guns. Like that.
Funny you say that, because as I was watching that, I was like, that's Mando trying to sell all his
guns.
guns.
To say, that's going to be me in like 2 months.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of talk in the community, at least the YouTubing community, commenting about this episode. Some people seem to be kind of shrugging their shoulders, going, yeah, okay. While others seem to be really upset that, like, the way that the guys are explaining what kind of loot you're going to see, like, they seem to have a problem with that. I don't know enough about it to really kind of have an opinion, I guess, or to be a knowledgeable opinion about it. But from what it sounds like, people are kind of saying, like, it needs to be a dynamic kind of loot, in the sense that dynamic meaning something you can't get just anywhere, because they're from what I'm understanding is they're saying, if it's just random loot that you can get anywhere, then what's the point? Like, they want it to be special, that you have to go out there and get it in order.
Well, there's no reason
I'm kind of sitting without having enough knowledge to go either way.
Yeah, it's like there's no reason that you can't have both. Also, the fact that especially here's the problem with doing like it's only stuff you can't get anywhere else. Like, and also they mentioned that they're gonna have stuff that you can't really like. They talked about how they wanted to have loot where there's reason to go looting. It's not just random stuff you can get anywhere. But
also too, I know way back when they were first talking about things like Death of a Spaceman and components and that kind of stuff, they were talking about that. Okay, hey, you've got, for example, a generic component, but maybe the one you find has actually been tinkered with, and so the stats on it are better in some way. It's not just your generic item, it's based on a generic item, but it's better in some ways. And it's like, that's not something you could really just pull out of your own ass. That's something you would have to find loot or buy from either other players or merchants who are able to go and produce these kinds of things. Same with weapons. They're like, oh, you might find weapon modules that, again, are inherently better, or you have unique stats or some kind of attributes that you can't just go and buy out of your average store. And this is again to also go and come back to the death of the spaceman thing, where you actually have reason to be like, hey, I want to go back there and get my shit because I've got all this unique stuff. I'm not leaving that without a fight.
I would agree with all of that.
As opposed to, let me just open up my locker and pull out one of the 15,000 loadout sets I've got because everything's always the same. Because right now, there is no special attributes for anything. There are unique stats. Everything is just the same across the board. So I mean, right now, yeah, loot's going to be that way, but I definitely want to see just like a lot of common items, because it's like, you'll have times where it's like, oh look, this guy had a fucking he had some gray cat mining armor on. Cool. It's not like I don't have fucking 1,500 of those. You kick the corpse and you move on. You don't even bother looting, which you're like, yeah, whatever. But you go and you check it. You're like, hey, whoa, he, on his backpack, he had some module that refines ores or materials you pick up automatically, or some bullshit, something like that. Like, well, fuck yeah, I'm taking that.
One thing I would really like to see, I agree with what you're saying, Cam. Like that makes sense to me. But one aspect that I would really like to see long term, I realize, this is first iteration type stuff we're going to see probably in the next year, 2 years maybe. But long term, one thing I'd like to see is that the loot also corresponds to like the container type, in the sense that like maybe if I kill a guy down in a cave, the chances that I'm gonna find 3 sets of armor shouldn't happen. Like maybe the armor he's wearing, and if he brought or had a armor storage crate specifically there, then okay, spawn some armor as the loot.
Yeah, like maybe they had some gray cat armor in a crate for their mining crew or some shit. But you wouldn't be finding heavy armor or something. I think they did touch on that. Like, they did touch on that. They did touch on that they can go and set groups per box, per location. So even they were
I have that on screen right now.
If let's say you have a location,
they were talking like the pirate type or pirate type loot. But what I'm saying is, even within that, I
fully think that's doable. No, I fully think it's doable, because I mean, when they were already talking about, so one of the big highlights that stood out to me when they were talking about it was that they were like, oh, if you've got a location, let's say it's a pirate location, so it's kind of lawless. You might have your kind of generic stuff there from either what the pirates have brought with them, what the pirates have scavenged or bought, and what they've looted from other people. But then let's say Crusader Security or whoever security rolls in, kicks them out of town, and now Hurston Corporation or ArtCorp is using it now as a staging point. All the loot you can find there now changes because ArtCorp or Hurston or whoever
and they even showed off one of the bunkers.
Set up, I think they're gonna do. It's not like you're gonna open up an ammo can. You're gonna find a pistol in there. You're gonna find some freaking ammo in the ammo can. You're gonna find, if it's like a personal lock, you're gonna find like personal effects, maybe a granola bar or like some clothes or stuff. You aren't gonna go and find a heavy armor torso in there, or a fucking ship cannon or some bullshit.
Also another thing, like they even showed off one of the Hurston bunkers with Hurston security guards walking around. So like you'll maybe find Hurston security guard armor. That's something I want. That I hated. For instance, Cyberpunk 2077 didn't do this, and I hated that for it. And that is like, okay, you see some guy wearing something, ideally you'd be able to loot it off of his body when you kill him. That when they didn't do that, I want to be able to loot armor off of a body after I kill it. After I kill it.
It's. I guess I'm just coming from like, I see a lot of like the armor mods, specifically like the survival systems. They have a tendency to just like, you walk into a building and you find loot crates, and in it you find 3 sets of armor, 2 automatic assault rifles, and a bandage. And it's like,
I don't think they'll do that.
That's
I want the loot to make sense to the area.
It would be like, I mean, if I go and open up a crate and it's an armor crate, and I go and I find a fucking ship weapon size 1 in there, it'd be like, what the fuck? Come on.
Exactly.
It's like, categorically, this makes no sense. Or if I open up, I open up an ammo can and I find a fucking assault rifle in there. Like, really? Come on, even if it's in parts, unless someone was trying to like hide some shit or something, like okay, then it will be like okay.
Okay, like how about the body bags in bunker missions? You know, those bloody body bags in the corner. Like, what if you like find like some stuff in there? That would be pretty interesting. Like someone they just haphazardly put the bodies in the bag. Cool. They didn't loot them or anything.
I have a question for that, Mando. So if we start doing that kind of stuff, should we also have what I can't think of the proper way to say it. Like D&D, you know, you have an alignment, you know, like your chaotic good or lawful good or chaotic evil. So like if you start looting body bags, should that change your alignment in Star Citizen?
So like a karma system or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think we should have a universal.
How is that? How would it be any different than
just a karma counter? Like you're known to go steal.
But how would anyone know if I kill?
How would it be any different than just
there's
looting a dead body?
Watching me, sure. Or if you're like, oh, there's cameras there or something, sure. But if no one's there, how is anyone going to know I've looted this body? You know, and also too, it's like doesn't matter if it's like I loot this one body 1,000 times. Now everyone thinks I'm worse than fucking Emperor. What's his name? Where killing all the people. And
Palpatine.
Shit. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. I was going with the in-game guy, Imperator so and so.
Oh,
Messer.
Messer, yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Messer.
You know, everyone would be like, "Oh, this guy's worse than that bitch."
Just for the record, I'm not a proponent of having an alignment system. I was just
I have to say though, why? How would that be any different than just looting a regular corpse? I mean, it is a regular corpse. It's just in a body bag instead of a suit of armor that you just recently killed.
Well, okay, bad example, I guess. Like you go around digging up graves, looting, something like that. You know? Like,
no, that would be a different gameplay loop altogether, though.
What if it's a grave that I made?
Well, then I think it should be allowed.
What if it's a grave that I made for
you put the time and effort
one of my own dead bodies, like
you
a previous death of myself? I make a grave for it. Because we have clones in this game.
Back to Star Citizen.
Right. So they talked about looting. They also talked about well, not talked about, but they updated us on the Jumptown 2. And also with the new combat and all that.
I didn't get a whole lot of that, but what I'm hearing is a few people are saying that they kind of there's a chance that CIG didn't really understand what made Jumptown successful, and that their iterations of trying to recreate it are probably not going to be successful. And the reasoning behind that is being put forward as what made Jumptown successful was the fact that you couldn't fast travel to it, so there was a distance and time that you had to actually fly to get to it, and that provided a zone for encounters to happen that you couldn't just zip out of or zip into, and that's what enabled Jumptown to kind of happen in the way that it developed. And from what CIG is describing they want Jumptown to be, or Jumptown-like encounters to be, they seem to have missed that understanding, and they're still thinking like, oh yeah, no, it'll just be a point you jump to, and then you get into your encounters. And some of the community are saying, no, that's not going to work. That's not going to. I mean, it will be encounters, but it's not going to create that Jumptown type environment.
I mean, there's gonna be unofficial gathering points and that kind of stuff, no matter what. So it's like, it might not be Jumptown anymore, but there'll be all kinds of various names.
It'll still be something, I'm sure.
Yeah, it will. It's just that, I guess what they're saying, some of the community is saying, is that these specific tries by CIG are probably not going to create that Jumptown. In other words, it will happen, but it's just going to it's going to end up happening somewhere else where the players create it. They find the environment that creates it.
All they need to do is just make a profitable. They just need to make an out of the way profitable location. That was really all Jumptown was.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I mean, I think part of what made Jumptown special too, it's like part of it was that it was the players doing it. It wasn't CIG going, "Hey, we've made
Yep.
this." It was players going, "Hey, this is really profitable." Other players go, "Hey, that's pretty profitable." But this guy's cutting into my profit margin. Fucking kill him. They're like, "Well, hey, fuck you. I'm bringing my buddies." Some other people come along going, "Hey, what the fuck's going on over here? Hey, this looks kind of interesting," and it just kind of spat out from there. And it's like the point of it was it naturally grew as opposed to CIG going, "Hey, we've made this, we've done this. This is a location. Knock yourselves out."
Trying to
It doesn't have
manufacture
that
it.
same, it doesn't have that same kind of natural growth aspect, and I think that was part of what made Jumptown interesting.
Right.
I agree.
No, you're absolutely right. Also, so next up we got the an update on the field's propagation for dust and smoke plumes when your ship's taking off from planetary surfaces, and how like your individual maneuvering thrusters and main engines are actually going to be dynamically displacing dust. It's not going to be like a static effect whenever your ship is near the ground.
So
And
I have a question about that.
I have a visual on screen for people to actually see how that's working, and I think it's really cool because they also said that it'll work on water and other pretty much anything on any surface really, which hopefully means including people. So like if you have your back thrusters aimed towards someone and then just hit the afterburner, you just blow someone back.
I wonder if the type environment is going to have a dramatic effect on that. Like I know storms and like strong winds, whatever the wind is made out of, whether it's a caustic, gas or something like that. But I understand winds will buffet year round, but I'm also wondering if like the type of gas that makes up the atmosphere will, like let's say if it's a denser type, does that mean your thrusters work harder, or do they actually work less because they get more push effect, pushing against that harder gas kind of a thing? Like I'm just wondering if that kind of mechanic will be involved, or it's just going to be kind of a generic, like this thruster puts out this amount of thrust, X amount
It's
of thrust
probably
in every single environment.
Knowing CIG will probably be something that's iterated on. So.
I hope so.
It'll probably start out as that, and then it'll just evolve into something where it's like gas and engine specific and stuff like that. They also showed off the the cherry blossoms and stuff and the leaves on Orison,
like
how the
that.
wind is gonna blow them away, and how you're running around on them is gonna disperse them a bit. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we talked about the kind of like the new system where if you shoot a ship, the sparks are actually dynamic. They're not stationary. Like here on screen, you can see that the sparks are falling upwards towards the sky because of the static effect, and then with the new system, they're actually falling towards gravity. They showed off the various stages of the station from Theaters of War exploding, which was interesting because this is like the first real update on Theaters of War that we've had in God knows how long. So.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that they're still planning on us having a station for us to blow up the stations. That's good.
Theaters of War would just always be like, arena commander to me until they prove otherwise.
Yeah, except at least you can play arena commander.
Yeah, true.
They also showed off some neat ass lightning and thunder particle effects. I cannot wait to see these on planetary surfaces. And as well as other locations, like, generators and stuff like that, because you can probably reuse this asset everywhere.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this tech work its way into the mining lasers.
Yeah. Or like, generators and power stations. And here's the footage of fire propagation. Now when the fires start, and we can just skip ahead to see what happens if you leave it unattended for 30 minutes.
So my question is, with the fire propagation moving along and that they're showing it at these states, does that mean that they're also working on like in tandem, working on the
fire suppression
volumetrics for the rooms, i.e., the oxygen and CO2 and all that, and opening doors and emptying out those containers.
I hope so. Otherwise, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious because they've talked about it and showed us stuff, like several years ago, and then it's just kind of dropped off the radar. So I'm wondering if the fact they're showing us this means they've successfully finished that, or like gotten it to a state where they're ready to implement it along with that fire, or is it still in limbo?
I have no idea.
Okay. I thought you were all knowing.
I am, but not of everything.
I'm all knowing of some things.
Of some things, but not all things. I think they talked about the room system, years ago. They've talked about it through the roadmap. Like, I've been following it a bit on the progress tracker. But
okay.
That's really it. Like, they haven't given us any true updates on it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Hopefully.
I mean, we have like a very, very, very basic version of the room system right now in game.
Well, we've got the room system in game. It's just that, for example, with airtightness, they have ships set to generate an infinite amount of oxygen.
Right.
So essentially, you don't.
And some that don't.
And some that don't.
Exactly. And this is why you always keep the helmet on.
If you open the door in the terrapin, all your O2's gone, and then you're stuck without O2. At least that's how it was up until several patches ago when I tested it again.
I think I bought one in this patch, and it's been fine for me, I think. I don't remember that I've ever taken my helmet off, though, so I can't say for sure.
I haven't really been messing with... The only times I've taken my helmet off in the last... or at least in the most recent patch, it was just, messing around on Orison. By the way, standing in that fire pit at the bar will kill you.
Yep.
Which is annoying because you used to be fireproof.
Yeah, I saw somebody try and put one of the whale plushies in the fire, and they let it sit there for a while, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, it doesn't burn up," and then they went to
they instantly died.
"Oh, I'm taking damage."
Yeah. I'm sure they at least had a med pen ready. I did not at the time, so I just collapsed and died. It was funny though. But yeah, the volumetric.
I did find out that railing around the Crusader spawn habs that lets you go outside, that has an actual wall, so you can't jump off it. I was thinking that it might be a quick way to like pick up a buddy, like fly a ship down and.
But you can easily jump off other things. You can easily jump off other areas though, so you can still do quick pickups.
Yeah, just not off that tower.
Which is unfortunate because how much cooler would it have been to get a pickup from the bar?
Yeah. Or from the roof.
Well, specifically the bar's on the roof. The rooftop bar.
Oh, I thought the bar was down at the...
No, the bar is the rooftop bar. Got like an outdoor deck and everything. Really nice.
Gotcha.
Alright, we got a busy chat for once. We have Victor Wolfung saying that ramp is looking at you funny. And then he says, I played D&T and a while ago it dropped the alignment system. So, they don't have the alignment system.
Well, I mean, they do. It's just most people don't play with it. It's kind of like everyone just ditches it.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, because everyone wants to play a paladin who can, be in a party with the necromancer.
Megan1 says, greetings, Star Citizen. And Victor says, this reminds me of this game called Teardown, when we were talking about the fire propagation. We have Killy Chow in the chat saying, hey everybody, what's going on? And then saying, Lunar Raid, Erotic Raid. Cool. But what's going on? We're talking about Star Citizen and all the upcoming features and updates that they've just given us last Thursday. So we got fire propagation, which means that essentially if you have a fire on your ship, it will spread and destroy your ship if you don't put it out. And hopefully it means it's eating up the oxygen, which will make it difficult to breathe if you're not wearing a spacesuit. We also, and then they have the wind displacement of objects like leaves and such. Dust displacement with your engines and actually using each of your individual specific maneuvering thrusters to displace dust and whatever other material on the ground when landing or taking off or just hovering. And then we have looting, where they're doing this new looting system that we'll have to wait and see how that is. And then that's really it, right? We kind of covered everything. And then there's the rumor that Alpha 3.14 will launch, will go live sometime this week. Hopefully.
Or the PU.
Maybe, hopefully. Allegedly.
Yeah.
God, I hope so. I'm really starting to hate Streamlabs because sometimes every now and then when I use it, my mouse disappears. Like it's still on the screen, but it's invisible. Oh, we just lost Cam.
Did we really?
Yeah. It's probably his RTX acting up. RTX?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, was your RTX acting up?
No, Discord's deciding to just fuck around.
Ah.
Pissing me off.
Victor says, are they adding everything ever to the game? They added a gas giant recently. That's what Alpha 3.14 has. It's the first ever fully rendered, explorable gas giant in a video game. And
Soon TM.
I mean, it's already in the game. You can play it if you have the PT.
Well, PTU.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it's not part of the live P. That's why. That's why we want to go out to the PU soon. Out in the wake down says evening all. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm kind of distracted by the fact that I have no mouse right now. It's annoying, and it's specifically because of Streamlabs. This is why I prefer regular OBS.
I've been hearing just in the last few days rumors that I guess there's a image that CIG leaked out on purpose. That's like it looks like it could be like a thruster. Supposedly it's their sneak peek of a ship that they've been working on, and I guess the rumor mill is saying that some people are thinking it might be the is it the 400i that was talked about several months ago that didn't
really
pop out. Yeah.
That
Let me see
elusive,
if I can.
Yeah, the elusive 400i that like a lot of the Origin nuts are going crazy over, but no one else cares about.
Yeah, from the images I've seen, I'm not impressed with that. If that was
the actual design, yeah, where it's like a mix of the 890 and the like 600 or something like that.
Yeah.
I honestly don't care. Like, it's not that I don't like the Origin ships. I want more utility ships.
Yeah.
Like, we have a lot of combat ships, and we have enough luxury ships for now, just because there's not really any money-making gameplay and stuff with the luxury ships. So, like, we need more utility stuff, more stuff that we can actually do something with. Also, the fact that we have a lot of ships. I want more ground vehicles.
Yep.
The ships we have already need more attention than getting new ships, I think. Looking at the Terrapin. It needs much needed love. I definitely think that Terrapin should become a modular ship where you can swap out that giant center dish, or keep the center dish. I don't know, but essentially get rid of the chair in the middle and replace it with a series of maybe at least 2 beds. Right, tier 3 would be the lowest. So
I had an idea a long time ago about that, which is it for people who are familiar with the interior layout of the Terrapin. To me, it would make a lot more sense if you were to make the right-hand wall, which is currently right now nothing but like just cabinetries and components. If if you made that wall like a display screen with a chair mounted, that would give you a little bit more room in that central area that, you know, you could move around, or maybe even have like a 1x1 SKU grid that you could have like minimal storage on. But then if you wanted to modularize it, you could basically just take that wall section out, and that's where you could put like a med bed and a couple of fold down chair seats like in the back of the Cutlass to enable you to do that C-STAR mission. And that would let that would make that whole Terrapin platform modular for whatever you wanted to do without actually having to like redesign the ship.
Hey, you're back. But you're mute. You're not hearing him either, are you?
I don't hear him.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing, Cam.
Or are you?
Just kidding. Yeah, I can hear you, Cam.
But
Or can you?
we didn't talk about this because it didn't last week. It didn't happen last week. It happened last week, but later. They pushed back a few things from the roadmap, specifically hacking and what else was it, Cam?
As far as I'm aware, the biggest thing has just been hacking, because that got pushed down to 3.16. Which, yeah, not surprised. Probably gonna be more shit gets pushed.
I want to say yes. There it is. Yep, hacking was pushed back to, which is set to release Q4 this year. Still can't believe it's only Q2 of 20.
Well, by definition, we're past it already. However,
well, no, we're within it right now. We're still within it.
To be honest, I would like to see them actually change their releases. Instead of going quarterly, shift it to thirds. So instead of having 3 months,
every 4 months,
3 months,
instead of
make it 4 months, 4 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
And that would give them more time to actually work on things and then look or be perceived maybe as being a little more professional in getting the things to actually come out when they say they're going to come out. Granted, for us, it doesn't mean as much content continuously, but at the same time, I think we're already like they're already missing their goals, so we're already not getting some of that content. So by giving them an extra month in each, you know, section, maybe they can actually achieve the goals that they're talking about. That's just my idea.
We're still getting personal inventory though for or the upgraded personal inventory
now.
for 3.15. Yeah, for now. All still tentative, which means it's all of the change.
I think that they're going to push healing as at least the major focus of 3.15.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that personal inventory comes alongside it, but if it comes to, hey, we still need to cut some things, I think that they would be cutting personal inventory before they would cut healing. That's just my take on it, but
I'm kind of curious though about ship interior object containment.
I think that's actually tied into a lot of the other stuff being able to happen. Just because I think it's tied into just container streaming in general, which I think is holding back a lot of this stuff.
Right, because the object container streaming, though it is in game, it is still what, like tier 1?
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it 1. I'd call it like
tier
0.1.
Yeah, 0.5 or something. It's like it's very basic and it only works for a few things. Everything else is still loading in fully, which is why you get the frame rates and spawning issues.
And I don't think it's going to be something that happens quickly. You know, it's continuous implementation. I think is going to be a very slow process, just because I think they're going to have to kind of like figure it out as they go, and they're going to run into roadblocks and be like, oh no, we got to rethink how we're going to do this thing So we're not going to do this until we've got that figured out. Unfortunately. But once we got it, I think it's going to be a huge hurdle that we have gotten past.
Right. So same with,
once they got it going and it's successful, that's like the opening of the floodgates to start seeing a lot of these tweaks that, you know, all of us want on individual levels. You know, we all have our pet projects that we want to see. I think that's when they'll start happening.
Pets.
That's true. Hey, remember space cats.
Compasses.
How am I supposed to be a proper mega maniacal evil overlord if I can't sit there with my
with
cat
your little cat on your lap? Yep.
On my lap. Yes, Mr. Fluffy.
What
doom
kind of
is very amusing.
Are you kidding me? I have that bumper sticker that says, you know, cat on board. I don't want to be a poser. I want the sticker. I want the cat. You know.
Where are we getting cats? Why can't we have dogs too?
We can get dogs.
Well, who says we can't? We got Earth.
Yeah.
And if we get Earth, I guarantee we got cats and dogs.
Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria.
Let's start off simple. How about just a goldfish bowl that you can put on the dash of your CG?
Technically, we already have.
With just a hamster that you just poke the cage every now and again. That's it. Come on.
There you go.
The fucker.
You still. We do have animal behaviors, sort of. Where you go to New Babbage and you have the holographic butterflies and holographic birds floating around.
But I want like a goldfish in a bowl, like next to my bed, and then when I get in combat, like I have to worry, like go back and check and
make sure the glass isn't cracked and that the fish isn't dead from shockwaves.
Yeah, laying on my bed, my bed's all wet.
All right, doesn't the Origin 890 jump have a giant aquarium that spans like the entirety of the back captain section?
Yes.
I think the 890, yeah.
Yeah, the 890.
Yeah. I don't know about the 600. I know the exploration does not, but I don't know about the touring one. That may have a tank in it.
I think it does, but I don't remember where. I'm more familiar with the exploration model than I am touring.
Mm-hmm.
At least, hey, 316, we're getting player slide. We're getting EVA tier 0, which, thank God.
Honestly, I think that shit's gonna get pushed.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I think Orson V2 though might not. I think we're gonna get Orson V2.
I think Orson V2 will get, but
like salvage is totally,
because if I remember right, I think New Babbage version 2 got pushed from when it was originally going to come out.
I think it was originally going to come out at once, and then it got pushed as separate. I think that's what it was.
Well, I also think that the we're coming up on the sitcon / anniversary stuff, and I think that's going to change a lot of what we actually do and don't see. Because essentially, once that's over, they usually clam up until about February the next year.
Also, to all note with 314 here, there's rumors that there might be something that is as yet unrevealed going in the patch. I personally doubt it, but we'll see.
They usually do. So I think there will be something, whether it's actually like worth its while, quote unquote, for us.
Yeah.
That's the question. I'm doubtful on. Like while you were dropping off, we were talking about the
glow sticks at people.
Yeah. Well, when you were dropping in and out, one of the things that we were talking about is supposedly CIG has leaked images of a ship that they've been working on, and the rumor is some people are saying it might be the 400i. I don't know, but it's like, okay, whatever.
It's like if it is, it is. If it isn't, it isn't. Whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, at least for us, like, yeah, the Origin ships are nice, but they don't they don't all have a lot of good practicality. Like, especially the 600, I think is the least practical of the bunch.
Yeah. Oh man, every time I think of the 600, I think about the berthing.
Well,
The crew berthing in there just makes absolutely no sense. And
if the rumors though of the 400 are correct, it could be very versatile because the rumor is that it would have a modular section and and there was actually some detail on what these possible modules could be, from a vehicle module to just extra cargo space. I forgot there were a couple other ones. I want to say there was like a refining module that could go in it. Although again, Origin doesn't really seem like a workhorse utility kind of manufacturer for ships, but there were definitely some cool thoughts in there. So we'll have to see if any of that plays out, but or if it's even real in the first place.
No, it's on.
Yeah, if it's Origin, I'm not holding my breath on it at all.
Yeah, no, if it was like MISC or RSI or something like that, I could definitely see some utilitarian ships, but
yeah, one ship that I actually personally am not like, I won't buy it. I might buy it in game if it's really good, but I know a lot of people are really interested in is the oh god, what is that? The Drake one that's coming out that's going to be bigger than the Cutlass.
Kraken?
Corsair.
Corsair. I'd like to see that one come out because I know there's a lot of people who are looking at that as like their MSR.
No, it's Drake's answer to the Constellation, I believe.
Yeah.
The only reason I would really like to see it is that I like the Constellation in general, but there's two things I hate about it. One is just the living section of it. That module B, as they call it.
Yeah, section B.
Just because it's such an old ship and it hasn't gotten a rework in years and years and years. And CIG is like, yeah, we aren't doing a total rework of it again because they've done that before with it. And it just, in terms of other ships where it's like, hey, you've got all of these like appliances, you've got all of this room, you have all this stuff that makes it actually feel comfy, cozy, like you would actually real life like to live there. It just feels like you're in the worst fucking camper van ever, like almost worse than a fucking Drake ship. Which and it's ironic because it's like for the Corsair, it looks like you've got even individual rooms for your crew here with like full accommodations versus the RSI with the Constellation, to where it's like you've just got a couple of bunks, you've got a single table, you've got a porta shitter, and that's it. That's your entire living condition quarters.
There's no kitchen.
Like, the only other thing though I will say about the Connie is just for its footprint, because of those wide, large engine nacelles, which they look like profile wise, it looks great, but it also means that it wastes a huge amount of space for its footprint compared to other ships of similar length and width with the much larger interior. It just means there's a lot of space wasted in its footprint that's just empty air.
Yeah. I'm curious for the Corsair just because to me it's the right size ship that seems to provide that same kind of like MSR Corsair scaled up Cutlass of like, you could probably get a little bit of combat in, you can haul some things around, meaning cargo, you could do some mining, like it's not a fighter and it's not a luxury ship and it's not a capital, capital is the wrong word for it.
It's meant to be
it's a workhorse, which is what I think the universe needs right now. Whereas we don't need another Hammerhead and we don't need another fighter.
Right.
I would love to see more utility ships, just because, among other things too, even in a dangerous world, because it's heavily implied. You've got pirates everywhere, you've got bandits, you've got Vandul, you've got all kinds of shit going on.
Don't forget human player characters.
You've got player characters who will do who the fuck knows what.
Yep.
So with all that going on, it's like obviously the world isn't exactly going to be safe all the time. That being said, we should still be seeing, generally speaking, more utility ships
That's why you need to go Argo tough.
Direct combat ships. So it's like we need to start seeing, in my opinion, more types and styles and variants of these utility ships. And one thing I would love to see is, well, one idea that I've seen people put out on the forums is this idea of a who is the company that makes the mole? Argo?
Yeah.
There was this idea of a Argo capital ship, and the idea behind it is that its focus is just industry. So you would have modules on there similar to the Endeavor. That's just things like refining, or things like just pure cargo storage, things like repair bays that you would fly smaller ships into, or have drones that would go off and fix ships, all that kind of stuff, where it's just focused on industry, as opposed to the Endeavor being the focus is science. And I would love to see, on a much more smaller scale, I'd love to see something that would be like Constellation size, that would have like 1 or 2 modules that could be slapped in or out with just all kinds of various features, whether that be things for storage for rocks or other ground utility vehicles, or drone bays for repair, refuel, rearm, refining bays, so that you can go and take it alongside your miners and have them just drop their cargo in and refine that on the spot for them, that kind of shit. And you can go and just kind of tinker with, it won't be as good as a dedicated refining ship, or as good at repairing as, say, the Vulcan, but it gives you those features all in one platform, so you can kind of just configure it to whatever your job at hand is.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. What I'm really looking forward to is seeing AI like flying commercial stuff. Like, to me, when you're at a space station, especially over like one of the major landing zones, there should just be this constant stream of like commercial craft going to and from the city and the station.
We need traffic.
Yeah.
No, I fully agree. I can't wait to see that, because it's like, one thing I love doing at times is just jump into one of the populated spaceports and just watching ships taking on and off. Yeah, I was like sitting at New Babbage and just seeing players flying in, flying out. It's like, and being able to see that with like the NPCs, so you'd see all kinds of varied ships and shit. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Seeing like just a constant stream of Argos just hauling cargo back and forth.
Yeah. Well, also be like, oh hey, there's an Idris in dock at one of the stations, and you've got like Argos popping in and out with cargo, personnel.
Yep.
Also, remember the New Babbage specifically, they have the Valkyries, the microtech Valkyries that are kind of like shuttling people to and from areas.
Which
like various facilities
be like,
around the city.
It's like, you'd
see those flying around everywhere.
And they were using Hueys as, or like Blackhawk helicopters as just your general shuttle.
I think that's what they took as inspiration, because, like, you have a Valkyrie, essentially this troop carrier, this battleship, and it's being used for civilian transport. Being used for civilian science transport.
And watching the AI like fly between the different buildings and land on the rooftops and deliver a package and then jump back in and fly on to the next building.
I've watched around around Orison on Crusader, just watching the skyway shuttles just going to and from different locations, because it's really cool to see them kind of fly around. And especially with the lattice structure work of
increase the immersion a lot.
Oh yeah, it makes it feel lived in, because as it is right now, the only ships you ever see going around, that's a player.
Yep.
Unless you're at a mission location.
Yeah, and that's mainly due to 3 reasons. 1, server tick rate. 2, server meshing, and 3, the quantum and quasar AI technology they haven't gotten in yet.
Yeah, they got to work on the AI mapping for routes and stuff. What does the AI do when a player decides to like plant himself right in the stream of Argo moles or Argo cargos?
Essentially blockading the AI's path.
I would hope they would go around and not just keep going, well, fuck it, Peloton and Handle.
You mean doing that, recreating that little Argo Tough cinematic someone made?
Yep.
Or just an Argo cargo MPUV.
As a GIF.
Just, yeah, I put it. I already put it in. Where it just flies right into the Retaliator.
I can definitely fucking see the NPCs doing that shit too. It's like, the Retaliator it's just sitting there. And yet this guy just goes, doink!
And the best is how you see the Argo kind of spin around and then just regain control and fly off.
Like I definitely think we'll be seeing a lot of that when AI NPC pilots are put in.
Yeah, the first couple iterations will be rather dramatic.
It'll be hilarious. It'll be like, here, let me just sit on the station and watch all the crashes.
Yep.
Just sit there waiting with my.
It's gonna be like that scene from Guardians of the Galaxy where you have all the little the bad guys are just kamikazing into the city.
So here's my question: will the AI have wait times before they can respawn their ship?
Yeah.
You would think.
I'd hope so.
Honestly, I would bet, based on what CIG has done so far, I would bet that they would be making the AIs use the exact same ASOP system that we do. So it's like the same kinds of timers. So it's like, oh, hey, if you've got a Carrack, you're waiting an hour and a half. If you've got an Aurora, you're waiting, 2.5 minutes. And then they would even have, I would bet, things like, oh, hey, if the NPC has like over a certain amount of funds based on their disposition, because they were saying like all different, are they brave, are they cowardly, they would go and expedite their ship claim in some conditions but not others. And I would also see that against them.
I agree. I could also see them, Tony Zervac getting his fingers in there too by going, oh, that's AI missions, because if a certain number of AI have not completed it, then maybe maybe there's contracts that become available for other AI to bring their ships over and complete that package delivery that the first AI couldn't do.
Well, I mean, we already have that. We've already got missions where it's like, hey, someone's like, hey, I've been waiting to get this package delivered to me. I know it's at this location. Can you go and just freaking grab it? It's like that could be like stage 3 in a 3-stage package delivery mission. And like, look, I don't care about the other shit. Just get me my one package here. That's it. And so then that third part just gets cut off from the original mission of the AI or the player or whatever, and it just gets split up into its own mission with a higher reward now, because they're like, hey, look, I just want this shit. I'm willing to pay an extra fee for it. Just get me my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. My package is stuck in Dallas at FedEx and they won't deliver it. So DHL, go over there and pick up my package from FedEx and deliver it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. That'd be cool. I'd be down with that.
And honestly, it's like we're talking about this kind of stuff, and I would say that is a completely realistic scenario. I wouldn't say that that's too far off in terms of theory crafting of what CIG could actually do. Like that would be something completely legitimate. We don't know if necessarily it'll take that exact form, but I would say there's
I could see them thinking down that road.
Yeah,
definitely.
All right. Well, we do have to move because we have another topic. A little bit.
It says 2. Where is it in writing?
Right here. On the screen. There we go. So we got the Halo Infinite technical preview, the flight beta test, whatever you want to call it.
Fuck up.
It was a mess.
For you anyway.
For me, or really anyone that had a GTX 900 or 1000 series or the AMD equivalent of those cards. Apparently, anyone that had those cards was going to experience this issue, where if you launch the game, it'll wait, the loading screen, everything will work. Then all of a sudden you'll hear about anywhere between 0.8 seconds to 2 seconds of the main menu music. Screen still black. And once you hear those little 2 seconds of music, game crashes. That's it. I had that happen every single time I launched the game. Every time I launched the game, I'd get that crash. And here you can see my report here on the forums. I submitted a ticket, which I can't show you because I...
Look, it's an easy solution. Don't launch the game, you don't crash.
Yeah, right. The problem is I'm not obviously alone. There's a giant forum of people experiencing the same issues. People who have GTX Titan X cards are experiencing it. AMD users. And the problem with this is it was a known issue. Right here. It was part of the known issues where it says, on Steam, some users and some hardware configurations, the game crashes shortly after reaching the title screen. They knew before the flight went live that this was a problem, and there was no fix. For anyone who doesn't know, the flight ended today at around 2 p.m. Pacific.
That also, to our note, when you apply for the Halo flights, you give them a
DXDiag file of
it's so they know all of their hardware specs. So it's not like they don't know people's hardware. But again, maybe they were hoping that, hey, we think we've got about 2,000 players in the player base who all have these older cards. If we throw enough players at the problem, maybe a solution will work itself out, and then we can just use that.
And here, even like one of the reports here says exactly that. Like, maybe next time they'll add support for used hardware. You know, they even said, like, I gave them my hardware info. Why did they invite me to the flight if my hardware isn't compatible? Listed in the known issues. Again, right there.
Seems like it's just becoming the norm for companies to release bad products. Speaking of video games specifically.
Yeah.
No, we were talking about that last night. Unfortunately, the case.
And I would say in some cases it's because companies have gotten to a degree too big to fail, or in some cases even you have government money going to them, like in the case of Disney, and it's like at that point, you know, it's always like, oh, just vote with your wallet, and it's like, sure, but that was always an iffy solution to begin with, and when we're seeing that doesn't even work when government money is filling their coffers, they're not going to give a fuck about the actual community anymore because you're no longer the actual buyer. The government is. So they're going to just do whatever will keep the government money flowing in. They're not going to give a fuck about what you're doing, especially if half the people of the old community, the old buyer base, still give them money. They're like, ah, sweet, this is just cream on top.
Yeah, and this was just a flight too, and I understand people are going to say like, oh, you know, it's not, you know, it's a different build from the release, the final product. It's not going to be like this at launch and all that. Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is it doesn't instill confidence in the product, and the fact that this wasn't just okay, my PC was having this issue, but others who have the same graphics card aren't. This is everyone I've talked to that has this issue had either a GTX 970, 980, 1070, or the AMD equivalent of those cards. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. I just don't remember what the AMD names are. So.
That's because some engineer, you know, in a meeting was asked, like, are we having problems with this? And because he didn't want to, you know, get fired for why haven't you guys fixed this kind of a thing, went, well, it's only a problem with some of them. And so, you know, management, oh, okay, well, let's move on then. Instead of somebody going, no, we have a problem. Like that seems to be the common response nowadays is, oh, well, it's only going to affect some because somebody doesn't want to lose their job.
Maybe. Either way, they knew about the issue. It was consistent. Like, it wasn't like okay, sometimes you can get in. No, you can never get in. Every time you launch the game, because of the card you're using, it would crash the second you load up the main menu. And you wouldn't even see it. There was no visuals either. Like a lot of I've talked to a lot of people. I was talking to forums. I did some research on it, and apparently no one, like maybe 2 people, saw the actual like visuals of the title screen, but really no one saw anything. You're just staring at a black screen. You hear some music and then crash.
But in conference room lawyer speak, those 2 people that didn't have the problem means that it's not 100% problem.
No, they didn't have. They still had the problem. They just maybe saw a little bit of visuals.
So it worked for them.
Not even. No.
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying, like,
I know what you're getting at, but it's like it's not.
It's not a 100% problem because
but it is.
It wasn't
it is
100%
problem because you can't run the game. And yeah, it is a nice looking game, but I still think Star Citizen is nicer looking. Also, the fact that that's kind of the problem, and I get comparing Star Citizen to Halo Infinite, not, I wouldn't say ideal. I mean, yeah, they're both games, but like comparing a dog to a cat, they're both animals, but they're very different.
Or are they?
No, they are. But the Halo Infinite, I couldn't run the game at all. Like every time I launch it, just instant crash. I'm literally loading into a crash to desktop.
Hell yeah.
And that's the case with everyone else who had the same card or similar card to me. And for anyone who doesn't know, I'm using a GTX 970 because why do I have to upgrade my graphics card if it runs everything that I play? But that's definitely a problem. And the reason why I'm pissed about it is because obviously I didn't get to play, but also does that mean that it's a huge technical hurdle for the game? Because that essentially means that you're not going to be able to run this game if you're using relatively old hardware at this point. But
especially when new hardware is not really available.
Even not new hardware is not really available because stocks are going the inventory stocks are going low.
Well.
And there's a chip shortage. So it's really not easy to get a hold of a new graphics card. And graphics cards are already expensive when they're in stock.
Yep.
So that's... And not to mention the fact that, at least in my case, I can't just slot in a new card, no problem. I have to... In order to slot in a new card, I need a new motherboard, and if I'm going to do that, I might as well just upgrade the entire PC. Or build a new PC.
Do it.
What?
Do
Do it.
Just throw it in there. What could possibly go wrong?
Little cam on my shoulder. Stop talking. Okay. Do it. It's just the gameplay itself, though. So my brother did get in, and he wasn't having any. He's actually
his graphics card.
He's using an AMD card. I don't remember the name. He told me. I just don't remember the name.
Steal his entire computer.
I was going to, but I didn't. But he was playing. It looked fine. Honestly, actually, it did not look as visually impressive on his PC, but that could have been his monitor. But I remember when he was downloading the game and he was checking because you're installing it. They tell you if you're an AMD user, make sure you have the latest driver installed. And he checks the driver and he's like, "This driver is like 2 drivers out of date." There's a myriad of technical problems with this flight. In terms of gameplay, though, for those that actually did get it working, the gameplay is very reminiscent of Halo 5. I have it on the screen right now. It's very, there's sliding, you have sprinting, which honestly isn't that much faster than regular movement. Which kind of begs the question, why have it at all?
Well, you see, fuck you, that's why.
I mean, it's just like, if you're going to have sprint, make it, like a short burst of really fast movement.
Like 1.5 or 2x your normal speed. Make it an actual sprint.
Right. But, and ideally, then, like in Halo specifically, like, why not do like a Half-Life type thing? The whole thing with Halo and Sprint, everyone hates it, or fans of 343 games love it. But why not just do like a Half-Life thing where you just hit shift or hold down shift, and you're not in a sprint animation. You're just running a little faster. Hold on a sec.
This is just my personal observation, but one of the reasons why I got out of all these kind of like FPS shooters is because they all seem to be like what we're seeing on the screen, which is just these circular maps where all you're doing is just running in a circle.
Right, which is why I'm more interested in the campaign of Halo Infinite multiplayer. I really couldn't grab. It doesn't help that it's free to play, or sorry, fee to play, because it's accurate here, shall we?
Like I like the style of like Battlefield 4 maps, where it's like, okay, you've got like, I normally play like the what was it, Conquest, I think it was, where it's like, okay, you've got objectives to take, but you've also got this big ass map with vehicles all around it. So you might be going for objective D, but some asshole on a helicopter decided to come and piss you off, and then some guy in a tank decides to piss him off, and it just keeps on going like that, to where it's like, it's not just you spawn, you sprint, you die, you spawn, you sprint, you die.
Yeah.
You spawn, you kill a guy, you die, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, I remember when Call of Duty went circular, as I call it, is when I stopped playing it. And that was kind of like, it got to that point where it was literally, you're just running around a circular map.
Yep.
What's the point?
Yeah, I was never...
Why do you think they call them arena shooters?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't understand why they're so popular, I guess.
Because they're mindless fun.
Flashy.
Yeah.
They're flashy.
That too.
Yeah.
Right, so let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the good of Halo Infinite's flight was, I guess, it looks nice, and we finally saw gameplay of Halo Infinite.
Which is, by the way, considering it's less than 6 months out until it's supposed to be coming out, this is the first actual gameplay we've seen of it. That's a little worrying.
Yeah. Okay, so bad. Well, in the game, I've heard the gameplay is pretty good. My brother said that the gameplay is very reminiscent of Halo 5, but it does feel a bit like Reach as well. But he did say it feels more like 5. So I'm going to count that technically bad and a good. So because I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but Halo 5 was not a bad game. The gameplay was not bad. It just wasn't Halo. I think a lot of people will agree with me on that. Some people I've talked to agree. But
well, I mean, you could say it's a positive in the sense that
the gameplay was fun.
Like Pokemon Go.
Yeah, it wasn't Halo gameplay, but it was fun. Especially I was telling Cam last night, like, the custom games were really, really fun because they were ultra silly, making use of the gameplay that the game. But it wasn't a Halo game.
Well, one thing I'm kind of
disappointed
in, though, is seeing, not to jump off topic a bit, but seeing the Battlefield, the new Battlefield game, kind of going like, oh, hey, you can have all this wacky shit going on. I feel like they've gotten a little too wacky with it. Like, I miss the days when Battlefield was
like the more realistic one.
Yeah, it was a realistic combat shooter, and it's like, now it seems they're just going full crazy with it.
That actually was kind of what happened with Arma 3. It's a lot of people were like, hey, you guys started out, originally it was...
that was a sim.
Yeah, it was... I'm just trying to remember what it was called. Not Op4, but anyways, it was supposed to be a 1980s sim of combat. So, 1980s era weapon systems and uniforms and whatnot. And then, they developed into Arma, and then it was like Middle Eastern,
early 2000s, late 90s, yeah.
Yeah, 2000s. And then when Arma 3 came on, they went all futuristic.
Right, with the stupid aliens thing that came out relatively recent. Contact. Stuff like that.
Yeah, well, not only that, but like a lot of the weapons and the armors and stuff were these futuristic, like, geohex patterns and stuff like this. And people are like, this isn't what I wanted. Like
See, that's why the only way to play Arma is with mods.
Yeah. But supposedly Arma 4 is being talked about, and supposedly rumor is that they kind of thought Bohemia Interactive, who makes Arma, have apparently kind of realized, like, hey, we've gotten away from our roots. So supposedly they're going to go back to a more realistic type sim environment.
You say that, but I'm hearing just a reiteration, like a reverbing of 343. Like, okay, yeah, we're going back to Halo's roots. It's a spiritual reboot. And now I'm watching the gameplay of that spiritual reboot that looks a lot like Halo 5. And I mean, yeah, it looks looks like Halo, but the gameplay looks like Halo 5. You got the clambering and the sprinting and sliding.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, the bad stuff, obviously, I'd say the mega bad, to use a Star Citizen issue cancel verbiage here, the crashes of Halo Infinite would be severity level critical, unplayable game. So that definitely not good. It doesn't speak well of the game in a technical aspect. And again, yeah, it's not the final build of the game, but it begs the question, like, okay, how much are they going to optimize it? They didn't optimize this. They knew this issue was a thing before it went out to testers. And also the fact that, like, yeah, they had my PC configuration. Why did they invite me if they knew it wouldn't work? To confirm that it wouldn't work? I don't think they needed me for that. Or anyone with the card if they knew it wasn't working prior. It was part of the known issues. And to add to that, like, you have the fact that a lot of AAA games are barely optimized as it is anyways.
Well, I think that with computer technology and the way it's gotten and how powerful it's gotten, that a lot of developers have gotten lazy.
I was about to say lazy or cheap.
How they're developing things. It's like, oh, hey, this game runs horribly. Well, cool. Well, we'll just go and say instead of using 8 gigs of RAM, it uses 16 gigs of RAM. Fixed. And it's like, well, you didn't fix the issue. You just passed it off to the consumer instead of actually going and working to make sure you had a good product. And then when they make game version 2 and 3 and 4 off of that same code, that underlying issue is still there. I feel like, back in the days, like we remember Pokemon, where it was like, oh, hey, you've got, 16 meg of RAM to use here. Better make sure you actually use it well, to the point where they're reusing random variables just because, oh, hey, this fits. We can reuse this here. Do it. They had to get creative with this stuff, and I feel a lot of that creative innovation to fixing problems has gone away because just make the consumer throw more resources at it.
Yeah, which isn't.
That's not fixing it.
Yeah, that's delegating your problem. That's not fixing. That's not solving it. And also, yeah, that's the problem with this is in a lot of games. Like, take the latest Call of Duty games. They're like what, 280 or 180 or something gigabytes now.
Yeah.
Like that game
like,
can.
Like 1 to 200.
It's not it could be or whatever. It can. Like we have the technology. We have the technology. We can rebuild them. We have the tech.
We can rebuild the game.
And they have the money. Like, the technology exists, and they have the money that exists to optimize the game to the point where it's like 50 gigs at most optimized or something.
Well, I mean, also too, it's like if you have 200 gig worth of data, and let's be truthful here, a lot of that's going to be graphical data.
Yeah.
I mean, you're now also making it so it's like, oh, hey, you have to have a 8 gig card to play it, when it's like, well, you could make it to where a 4 gig card could play it, but because, again, you wanted to go and just push the product out as fast as possible, as the game companies do, without actually going and putting any effort into this, sweet. People are going to go and buy it. They're going to be like, hey, this doesn't actually run on my machine because y'all were lazy. They're going to get a refund. That's extra money you could have gotten.
Yeah. That's definitely the bad. It's just the technical issues. The gameplay, it's kind of an iffy, a bit of both, good and bad. but I definitely say the technical issues of the flight, everything I've experienced. If anyone's curious and wants to read about all this stuff, links are in the description. I cited the sources, so they're all in the description for where you can read about all these different problems I've had, others have shared. It's a mess. A real buggy, glitchy mess. I'm talking worse than Star Citizen. Like they're outdoing Star Citizen, for me at least, in terms of how buggy and glitchy this AAA game beta testing is. So now on to the ugly. The ugly is going to be an interesting one because it's involving the sound design. So when I first saw gameplay of this, it sounded a lot like Halo 5 in terms of like the weapon sounds and just the sounds of the gameplay as a whole. Which isn't necessarily a good or bad thing. I mean, it's more bad, but not in a way of like, okay, the Halo 5 sounds were, horrible. They were just boring. Like there was no personality in the gun sounds. There was nothing sounded iconic. Nothing sounded like, you hear that, that one sound off the distance, you go, oh, someone's using a sniper rifle. Like, there was none of that. And some guy made a video of all the guns being tested in the game through their shooting range. And obviously you can listen to the sounds, and they are really boring sounds. And there's almost no audio from the reload.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So that's the assault rifle audio in Halo Infinite. It's not great at all. Now, this is my problem with it, is they, back in November of last year, so literally a year prior to the game's release, they released a video of their small arms and weapon recordings. This is like billion-dollar budget recording stuff here. And it's incredible stuff. Like, some of it sounds great, and you think, like, okay, this game's gonna have incredible audio design. Like right there, it sounds immediately like the CE assault rifle, but then we get
3,
that.
2, 1.
Like, what did they fuck? Like, where did they fuck up? They had billions of dollars, and they had really good sounds, and they just worked it. So that's definitely part of the ugly for me. I'm also still not a fan of the whole hexagon thing that all sci-fi does nowadays. That's a different. So yeah, Halo Infinite, the flight, I'm not a huge fan. Like, I know everyone's going gaga over it right now. Like, all the Halo channels are blowing up. Like, oh, this is great. Oh, it's the best thing ever. This, that. I'm not of that mind. It's all right, but it's not the best thing ever. Like, I'll stick to Halo CE, Halo 3 for still better. At least as of now, maybe the campaign will change my mind when that actually really. That's another thing. They're charging you $60 for just a campaign. Yeah. You guys have anything to say about Halo Infinite?
Nah. Honestly, like I said, 343's track record so far speaks for itself.
Yep. 0-2.
So, and then on top of that, we've seen that alone, irregardless of any other changes, that alone worrisome. On top of that, we've seen that they're cutting off the multiplayer side to specifically make it free to play or rather fee to play. We've seen that they're planning on throwing in the microtransactions for the multiplayer side specifically, still charging $60 for the campaign, We've only seen the first campaign footage now, less than 6 months from when the game is supposed to launch. Honestly, any one of these things would be reason to start doubting. All of these together, it's going to be a shit show.
Yeah, and here's another thing that I forgot to mention, and you reminded me, so thanks for that. But the monetization of it, I got to look through the battle pass on brother's machine, and so usually a lot of these free-to-play games, or alternatively free-to-pay games, they'll have 700 points, or in Halo Infinite's case 700 credits, usually translates to $7, so 100's $1. So they're clearly everything's charging. One of the things they had in the battle pass was XP boosters, which was giving me some real Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft vibes as of late, and it was not good. Another thing that I noticed was as my brother was scrolling through some of the customization options, I realized they could have had the armor coatings and the color customization work in tandem with each other. You still have the traditional primary and secondary color customization options that you would in any other Halo game. But on top of that, you would have the armor coatings, which would then... Hold on a sec. Which would then give you the pattern of which you can choose where your secondary and primary colors are. So the armor coating, say for that one skin that had the red arm with the gray body, okay, that's an armor coating. You get that armor coating, but then you still have your primary and secondary colors, and you can choose, okay, say the body's the primary, the arm's the secondary, so you can just change that pattern, and you use that color pattern and change the colors themselves. And the armor coating system could have worked as essentially pattern customization for where you're placing your color customization character's armor, and that would have been really cool because then you'd have different styles and stuff to choose from. But that's just, and that was an idea I came up with on the spot when we were scrolling through the battle pass or whatever. So it's clear that they're just monetizing the game because that's what free-to-play games are. They build these free-to-play games for the purpose, from the ground up, to monetize it. That's why they're free-to-play, quote-unquote. They're not actually free-to-play. They're designed to be free-to-play with the idea of monetizing you, nickel and diming you for anything, really.
Well, because also, too, it's they want it to be free-to-play because how many people are going to just go and buy Halo Infinite? Then if you want to throw in microtransactions because we're not getting enough money, well, okay, well, how many people from all the people who actually bought Halo Infinite are actually going to go and buy into your cash store? There's going to be a significantly smaller number. Well, hey, if we cut out the multiplayer, charge the same for the single player, and make the multiplayer free, that means you're going to have a lot of people who don't care about or won't initially buy Halo Infinite, but they'll download the multiplayer, and then we just nickel and dime them, and the original buyers of the game, we nickel and dime them as well. Woohoo! It's just really? We aren't giving you guys enough? Why don't you make a better product instead of having to just scam us out of our cash?
Yeah, and then you have to remember this is also a live service title. It's the next Halo for 10 years, and how well those usually work out.
Yeah. If they were actually doing anything innovative here or anything interesting with making a new game, that'd be one thing. However, it looks like it's just they shit out barely enough to go and be able to call it another Halo game, and then after that, all right, just rack in that microtransaction money.
And then, by the way, there's nothing micro about anything that's above $1. Absolutely Nothing micro about it. The whole point of micro is that it's less than $1, less than 100.
Yeah, and when your microtransactions are
pennies.
Getting to be $10-$20.
Yeah, was it Bethesda did that? $18 for blue, just the color blue.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, I'm not surprised, but just again, I'm not angry. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, well, that's why we're talking about this under the ugly side of things, because this is definitely just saying it's bad isn't enough, I think. That plus also it's out, it's the not talking about really like the gameplay itself. We're talking about the game itself as a whole. But yeah, it just I hate these free to play things because they're designed specifically to nickel and dime you, and also for anyone who
it's designed for gambling.
Yeah, it's digital casinos. They did say that they're not going to have any randomized, goodies or whatever. Essentially, a way of saying loot boxes without saying loot boxes in a previous Inside Infinite article. They said they weren't going to have that, but remember, Halo 5 did have loot boxes. It still does have loot boxes. So I don't really trust them that much. Not to mention the fact...
also, too, they might very easily go and say, well, it didn't have microtransactions then.
At launch, after everyone does their reviews, yeah.
Exactly.
And here's another thing too: is for anyone who says like, "Oh, it's okay, they're only monetizing cosmetics," that's not okay. That doesn't make it any better. That makes it. I won't say it makes it worse because then you get pay to win stuff. But honestly, what's the difference? Because you're telling me you never played a game just to get a specific skin or armor piece or something for your character? Like, no, the whole point, like. Monetizing cosmetics is okay. That normalization is the problem, I think, or part of the problem. It's definitely a factor, definitely a variable.
If it was stuff that was like, okay, here's the base game. We've already made an entire suite of stuff you can earn from in-game activities. That maybe it's like you can do some like challenges and get some stuff. But we've already made a suite of stuff you can already just earn. And oh hey, we've done extra work after we've made a full game. We put all that out there. Cool, people like it. Then we made additional stuff. After the fact, we're like, oh, hey, what about this? Oh, hey, what about that design? We didn't have time to finish. Let's go and just do all that stuff. We'll throw it in there. We'll charge like $5 for the whole thing. That'd be one thing. But, and that used to be kind of sort of how it was. It's like, oh, hey, let's go and spend a little bit more time working on this stuff that didn't quite make it. Throw it all in there. Maybe attach a small price tag to it. Boom, there you go. Now and we see as time and time again where they literally design stuff to be cut out of the game from launch just so that they can charge you to get it back. And it's like, again, when you're designing this stuff from the beginning to be behind a paywall, you're cutting off parts of the game there.
This is essentially, at least in my experience, what live service games are. A live service game, in a nutshell, is essentially you're going to the bakery to get a cake. You pay full price for the cake. But the baker only gives you a slice of the cake and then charges you extra for the rest of the cake.
Yeah.
For the remaining slices,
absolutely.
Which he only gives you a slice per time you pay. That is what live service games are, which is why everyone hates them, which is why they don't do well. And those are the ones, and you can make the argument, well, this one isn't, those games you were paying up front, you're paying $60, and then they nickel dime you here, you're not. I mean, yeah, this is free to play, quote unquote free to play. But that doesn't change the fact that they're nickel and diming you. And yes, I understand that, it's free to play. How do they make money? Simple. You charge for the game. Let me put it this way.
You make a good product. You get people to buy the product by making a good product, and boom, there you go.
Thank you. But also...
Whoa, we can't do that anymore.
That's the thing is, you're paying for, even if you're paying 99 cents or 50 cents for, this armor skin or whatever... You're paying for something that has no real world value, and you're paying with real money. It's not like in Halo Reach where you're playing the campaign, and while you're playing the campaign, on the side you're earning little like every time you play the game. Essentially, you're earning these little credits, in-game points, and you use those in-game points to buy armor. But there's no real world money involved at all. It's just in-game credits, and that's it. And you can unlock various armors and stuff of your choosing, which is a thing against battle passes. And that was it. But here, you're getting nickel and dimed for that customization. Instead of earning the points in game, you can use real money. And
I would say further with the games as a live service stuff, too often, and this is just my experience with them throughout the years, because it's not really a new idea. The idea has been around for a while.
yeah.
Too often, from what I've seen, they get a game to the point where it's pretty much in a maybe beta state. Maybe you're stalling out, maybe you're in mostly alpha, but some features are still being worked on. Some are in, but they're still pretty rough. Then they release it. Then they go, we'll finish the game maybe if we feel like it, but pay us full price now. That's quite literally what it is.
You're not being Anthem, Fallout 76, Battlefield 5.
You're not being offered anything extra. You're not being offered continued service for a game when you otherwise wouldn't be. It's literally just so they can get you to buy a buggy mess, have an excuse for it, and then still charge you extra.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Is like, again, I can hear people saying, "Well, it's free to play, so they need to make money somehow, right?" Yeah, that's why you charge for the game. If you make a good quality game, like a solid game, that's
from the base game, from the campaign game.
Make a finished,
charging
solid
full price
game
for the campaign game, by the way, because before it would be, it's campaign and multiplayer. They're cutting it off, still charging full price for the campaign, which I guarantee you, the campaign at best is going to be okay. They're not going to do anything extra for the campaign to justify the full price. It's going to be the same shitty 3-4-3 game we've been seeing. Again, I think that we've been seeing for the past 2 games, Halo 4 and Halo 5. And then they're going to go and charge you extra for unlocking all the goodies in the multiplayer side. It's just a cash grab. It's literally just that we want more of your money. Gimme, gimme, gimme. I can't be bothered to actually put forward the effort, though, to make a good product. And again, that's what it seems like with all these companies. Like, hey, we can't be bothered to actually put effort into making a good product anymore. Okay, well, we're just going to go and just cut parts of it out, charge you for those, just to satisfy our endless money lust.
Yeah. And that's another thing, too. It's like, yeah, you can make your argument, okay, we need to charge for the game, right? They charge for the game, $60 multiplayer and campaign. If it's a solid, finished game, you'd even, what's face, like, I'm not going to use Halo 4 and 5 as an example, but let's take Halo CE. Halo CE came out 2001. I still play the living shit out of that game.
Yeah.
Because it's a good, solid game. And guess what? It's not the multiplayer at all.
The Master Chief Collection.
Yeah. And it's not the multiplayer that gets me coming back, it's the campaign, but that's just me personally. My point being is that it's a solid game. They didn't try to make it as like, it's this game that'll be continually innovated on, and this and that, it's going to last forever. Like, no, it just make a solid, finished game. Like, okay, the game's made, that's it, it's done. If it's fun, people will keep coming back to it.
Well, that's why, if you have, for example, let's say if you have, say, Skyrim or Fallout 3 or New Vegas, it's like, hey, here's the base game, and it's relatively full, it's complete. Oh, hey, by the way, here's these extra stories and extra content, more weapons, more armor, just more of everything here. Here you go, $10, $20. Cool. People are like, hey, the base game was pretty darn good. I'm happy to go and pay an extra $10 or $20 for this additional content. That's how it used to be. Now it's all just, can't actually put effort into making a good game and then making more good content after that. That's just too much work. Come on.
And what's worse is that, you at least when the game, if the game is actually you're charging for it, it's not free to play, you're charging for the game, you can make the argument, well, where are they making the money? They're making the money from the game sales, but also the game itself then has value. If you're charging for a game, the game as a whole has real world value. Digital things inside the game do not have any value. At least any that would equate for or validate spending real world money on it.
And especially when this stuff, as we've seen with a lot of these macro transactions, they're no longer, it used to be back in the day, it was like, $1 here, $2 there. Now it's like $5, $10, $20, gimme.
All the Riot,
fuck,
the
guys?
Valorant type games, essentially all the games owned by Tencent, they go for like, there's one that's like fucking like $90 or something for a fucking weapon skin.
I've seen that with like, especially if you look at like MMOs. Holy shit, the amount of macro transactions they put in those things, it's ridiculous. Now MMOs have something of a argument because usually there is some amount of continued content. But like, for example, look at WoW. Like WoW is like, oh hey, well you need to keep paying us just to be able to play the game, just to be able to have
It's a monthly
access for the
fee.
game, and then you got to pay separate for this additional content. Like it's like, okay, I could see one or the other because it's like, okay, look, they've got the servers up, but even then, it's like, how much in terms of, especially when you have already an in-game cash store, how much are those servers really costing you versus that money that's coming in? It's like, on top of your development team, on top of the initial money of selling just the game itself, it's like and part of it, I think, is that game prices haven't really gone up. Like $60 is still kind of the go-to AAA game title price. Like I said before, I would be perfectly fine with seeing that going up to like $80 if we could get rid of a lot of this blatant money grabbing shit. The problem is it would not go away. It would just be more, gimme. That's what we're seeing. Games have become just another way for the guys in suits who have no concern over making good product, no concern over what they're actually doing. It's all about just the bottom line. What corners can we cut? What bullshit can we push to make the bottom line go up? Who cares if half the community hates us? If a third of them are still buying our product, we're still making the projected money. Cool, do it. We don't care. Do the thing that make the money. It's no longer about building a community. It's no longer about actually having pride in your work and making a decent product. It's what puts the most cash into the bank account. That's the first concern, the last concern, the only concern with a lot of these game companies now. The only ones that really aren't like that are the indie devs, i.e. like Star Citizen and stuff.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yep.
And even if you want to go full corporate, like, okay, well, some of these corporations, they never really cared about, pride in work and stuff, just making money. Okay, fine, but they cared enough to make a quality product to ensure customer repetition, like returning customers. They're not even doing that anymore.
Yeah, well, because they don't care about it. It's like I said, it's no longer about building up a community or trying to make a decent product anymore. Because it used to be there was pride, going, hey, I work for EA. Hey, I work for Bethesda. Hey, I work for Ubisoft. There used to be pride in saying that and going, hey, we're working on these innovative projects. We're trying to go and do new stuff that no one's ever done before. We're trying to go and make these universes that no one else has envisioned. Now it's all about, hey, where's that diversity hire officer? Whoops. Hey, make sure they don't actually see the real offices where we're fucking crawling around under desks and shit. Blizzard. I mean,
causing a female employee to commit suicide because of a myriad of different problems.
When no one is calling, I would assume at least that no one is calling out these other employees at one, it's a work function. You shouldn't be sharing anyone's nudes, let alone another employee's there. Two, obviously the employee would have been distressed by that. Three, no one else is even calling out the action of going, hey, one, this is a work event. Two, again, you're sharing news with someone else. This is not the time or the place. Three, it's one of our coworkers who's right there. Like, and the fact that that's normal behavior, I can see one, why they think they need to hire a diversity officer. I don't think that's going to make the problems worse, not better. But I mean, it's clearly obvious that a lot of what's going on in these game dev companies, at least for Activision Blizzard, there's not a lot of game development going on. Lots of fucking hanky-panky bullshit, but it's like if they spent nearly as much time actually working on the fucking games, maybe we'd have good products again. Who knows?
Yeah, I doubt it. Well, that's why the indie game industry is taking off, and that's why the indie comic industry is taking off, and that's why I hope the indie movie industry takes off. Because we're all sick of this shit that's being normalized and detrimental to everyone.
Yeah,
every regard.
Absolutely. We have companies that have gotten so big, I think they can't see themselves over their own fucking noses anymore.
Their egos writing checks that their body can't cash.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing. It's like I am still hopeful that the campaign is good, but like it just the technical preview did not instill confidence in a product that I really needed some confidence in. Like I don't think I'm getting this at launch for sure.
Oh hell, honestly.
I mean, I probably wasn't anyways, but now I'm definitely. Like it was a probably, I mean, now it's a definitely.
The only game potentially, and I would still say that it has no grounds anymore, but the only game potentially I could see people still going for would be like Elder Scrolls for grabbing it at launch. And even then, it's just like after what Bethesda's done in the last several years, fuck no, fuck that. Like I said, Starfield, I'm assuming is already going to be trash when it comes out. I think that's already too late to say. We'll see. That might not be the case.
Yeah,
it might be great.
I hope we're wrong in that regard because it looks interesting, but we have no idea. Only time can answer that one. Only time can answer that one.
If we could get another genuine Bethesda RPG again, that would make me fucking happy as shit. Especially if it had actual modding support. Looking at you, Fallout 76, but like actual modding support built into it. I mean, that'd be great. I would love it. And obviously it's like we like sci-fi, so that alone would be pretty darn cool too. It's like it would be great. Just again, their work speaks for itself. Actions speak louder than words, and Bethesda's actions and like I said, most game companies' actions these days are showing they give no fucks about the product anymore. They give no fucks about the community anymore. All that matters to them is as much money as they can squeeze out as possible. And they'll do anything, say anything, throw anything to the wind that they need to make that last dollar, and then drop everything else and be like, thanks, suckers. Adios, bitch. That's what it seems like.
Also, I forgot to mention that for people, like, you think $60 is bad. In Canada, it's $80.
Yep, already.
Yeah, like, no, $60 in Canadian is $80. So, 60 US is 80 Canadian. So that means you're charging people $80 for a story mode of a game.
Yeah. And like I said, I guarantee they are not going to go and be doing anything extra to make up for the multiplayer. I mean, again, here we have another example. As with all the previous Halo games, you've had the campaign and the multiplayer are side by side. They are part and parcel of the same game. Here we see yet again
the game mode. That's the thing. They're charging you for a game
part
mode.
Of the game, just so that we can go and sell content off later. Still charge full price for the husk of what we already cut shit out of. I guarantee they're not going to be doing anything extra or like, hey guys, let's go and extend the campaign or do anything extra or add a new game mode to the campaign or anything along those lines. Hey, let's go and really double down on making some more like firefight or anything like that. Nope, they're not gonna do anything like that. They're just gonna be like, hey, thanks for your money, bitches. Haha.
It's a mess waiting to happen. I think Halo Infinite is definitely it still has the possibility of doing something good. You know, like, again, maybe a release will do something that surprises us, but as it stands right now, you know, just a review of the technical preview, it was a buggy, glitchy mess that did not run at all for me. Like, it just would not work. Or for anyone that had a GTX 900 or 1000 series graphics card, or a Titan series graphics card, or the AMD equivalent. Again, I don't remember AMD names. They're always so freaking convoluted. But it was a technical glitchy mess, and the gameplay didn't look anything special. Like, it looked fine, but it didn't. I think that kind of wraps up the technical preview. Like, it was just a mess. It was an unfortunate mess too.
Yep.
I mean, hopefully this isn't the only flight that they do. Maybe they'll do more, and they'll actually learn from this one. But I feel like I'm asking too much there.
Well, like I said, it seems like for a lot of these larger companies, there's no more pride in their work and going like, hey, we're working on Assassin's Creed. We want to build out this action/adventure game that's inside of Rome or Greece, Italy, all these places in history. We want to go and try to actually match up to real world events. We want to go and essentially teach history through a video game done through this perspective of this conflict between the Assassins and the Templars. Your average person has no idea even exists or is going on. There used to be pride in that. Now it's just, we should have, what are we doing this year? Fuck it, Vikings. Okay, we'll do Vikings. Whatever happened to the underlying story? Of course, they're never going to finish the overarching story of the Assassins.
Well, they kind of finished it with Assassin's Creed 3, and then they kind of been dilly-dallying over it.
They killed off Desmond. And it's like, at that point, it's like you just killed your main character. You can say, we're switching main characters now. And it's like, that's fine for the character in the story. But when this is your overarching meta story, and you've killed off your main character there, who cares anymore? That was my perspective on it. I was like, at this point, why do I even fucking care?
I liked Black Flag because of the pirate theme and all that. You know, it was a very fun game to play. But I remember even at the time when I first played it, you know, one of the things I didn't like was I loved the naval stuff, but I felt that the towns were too small because of the naval stuff. So, like, I liked the character of Edward Kenway, but the modern day stuff was kind of utter crap. Rogue, not much better. I mean, the animus stuff was great in Rogue as well. I mean, it was just almost like an Assassin's Creed 5 Black Flag type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was an actual sequel to Black Flag in terms of gameplay. But it really wasn't like, after that I dipped off after Unity, because Unity was just awesome concepts, poorly executed, and then abandoned. So, which is kind of Halo 4 in a nutshell too. Like, for the same reason, they had co-op Assassin's Creed in Assassin's Creed Unity, and they just abandoned it instead of trying to refine it and make it work. And Halo 4 did the same thing, with the Spartan Ops. Instead of trying to make this new campaign type thing actually work, they just abandoned it and replaced it with Warzone or whatever.
Alright, guys, I'm going to step out here.
Yeah, I think we're going to end it in like 10 minutes anyways, but I just want to say, the reason the AAA gaming industry goes all these free-to-play games is because they can build the game around monetization aspect and tie the progression to their battle passes, which honestly hinder the progression. Like, I know Cam and I have gone before where it's like, you want to buy a specific item, right? Like, okay, I only want one helmet, but because of the way this battle pass works, you have to spend your rare, hard to earn points that you make like 5 a week at best, you have to spend them on the entire thing just to get that one helmet that for some reason that's locked at the end of it. Like, you just want the one helmet. You don't want the stupid name plates and colors and whatever. You just want the one helmet, and they're gonna make it through this whole battle pass. It's annoying. It's a grind. Works.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing of it, is that oftentimes with this stuff, we're going to either make it specifically, again, going back to this idea of gambling, because again, they're literally hiring people to, one, incorporate gambling tactics into gaming, which again, when you're aiming a game at kids and young adults, I mean, that's predatory at that point. You are literally trying to addict kids into this shit. And as we've seen, this has gone to law, or this has gone to court already. And it has been found, hey, no, this is gambling. You are literally
It's worse than
trying to
gambling. At least
kids.
with gambling, you're getting some real world value back. You know, gambling, you have the chance to make some money back. In this, you don't.
And it's not going to lie to you about what it is. It's
Right.
going to call it what it is. Whereas with this, like, oh, it's not gambling. I mean, look at Bethesda. It's not paid mods. It's just mods that you buy with the currency, and you get the currency by paying real money. So it's not paid mods. Fuck off. It's paid fucking mods.
That's
and
that's honestly that's what I feel Halo Infinite's going for. Where it's like, oh no, you don't have to buy these things, but you can pay for the in-game currency.
Well, and that's the thing. They specifically make it so like they'll be like, oh,
you can pay for XP boosters.
You can get it without needing to pay. We've just specifically designed it to be as frustrating as possible to convince you to just give us your money. And it's like, fuck off. Make it so it's a choice, not that we're being guided or forced into it. Because like if you were to be like, hey, look, you can get this thing if you actually you work, you grind it out a little bit. Like look at the Star Citizenships already. Honestly, the Star Citizen balance is heavily weighted in favor of buying ships in game. Like for instance, if I wanted to go and get a Carrack, real world price, if you were to be like, I don't think it's on sale right now, but once it is on sale, if you were like, hey, I want to go and get a Carrack, cool,
you can get one in game anytime.
650. I think it's 650.
Different, and that is Star Citizen. That right now you can give them real world money for these things, but that money is going into the development of the game. You're essentially because it's a crowdfunded game.
Development. It's relatively open. I've literally seen other game developers. It's like for most of us in the community, it's like we don't design games. We don't do this for a living. So we're like, okay, cool. They're putting out videos. They're doing this. I like this. I don't like that. But I've literally seen other people who are game developers who are going, this is the most open project I have ever seen. Sure, they're not doing everything perfect. They make mistakes. I'm not.
But they're the first to do this thing, so
still,
they're guaranteed to make mistakes.
They're being very open with their development in terms of like what features are going in, when stuff gets delayed or pushed back, when stuff is when they have problems about it. They're open with the community. And they're like, hey, we screwed up here, or there was an issue here. We need more time to work on this. We need to refactor that. But like I was saying with the Carrack, even just now, like I said, $650. Real world money if you wanted to buy that right now. You want to buy that Carrack in-game? And now bear in mind, of course, if there is a wipe, a persistence wipe, which at this point I think there hasn't been one for about
a year.
Almost 2 years now.
Oh yeah.
So pretty much since persistence was put in, there has not been a wipe. There will be, I guarantee there are going to be wipes in the future. And at that point, all the stuff that you have bought in-game, whether it's armor, weapons, ships, components, whatever else, all that stuff, it's going to go by. You're going to have to earn it again. Sure. But even still, if I wanted to buy a Carrack right now in game, $30 million. I mean, I've literally seen if you're real good at min-maxing your cargo and you've got yourself a Caterpillar or something like that, you can make that in a day.
Even if you don't, say you don't have a Caterpillar, you're starting just from the ground up of you have an Aurora. Between combat missions and mining, like FPS mining, and then later on, you can use that mining to then get a what the hell is it called? The rock, the Great Cat Rock, or a mole, and you can use that money to buy more things.
Mining trip, you could probably make something like if you're pretty good. Let's even say 2 or 3 mining trips with just your Aurora. You buy a hand tool, 2 or 3 mining trips. that go decently well, you could probably make about 30K right there. 30K, that's enough to rent one Cutlass Black and one Grey Cat Rock. From there, you're probably making about 30K an hour or so. From there, you can probably rent a Caterpillar for a day. Now, you still need, if you are going to do cargo, you would have to go and buy the cargo. You're going to need some money there. But even so, you could keep doing mining. You could buy yourself a prospector or a mole, and that's some decent cash right there. I've seen mining runs from just a prospector that go over 200K once you refine all the ore and actually sell it there. I mean, we're talking if you're just doing normal stuff, like you aren't min-maxing, you aren't like grinding stuff out, just playing through the actual mechanics of the game. We're talking probably a couple weeks. You know, if you can play a couple of hours a day, we're talking about a month. You're probably, you know, if you're actually working toward that, you could be buying that Carrack. I mean, if it was EA running that thing, it'd be like 300 million or 3 trillion. You'd have to be playing for 6 months to earn that thing, if not more. Now, that's also, I mean, chip prices are probably going to change at some point too once the economy gets more balanced in and there's other job types out there. Right now, mining is the most developed, but even still.
Yeah. Also, another thing to note is that buying ships, real money on the it's only on the website. You can't do it in the game. You have to go to the website to do it, and it's not going to be a thing once the game releases. You know, I want to say if, but it's not an if. It is a when. It's just when that when is. We don't know. You know, it could be anywhere between 5 years to 70 years. But jokes aside, it's a totally different animal. That's why I say, you know, it's like comparing a cat to a dog. You know, they're both pets, but they're very different. And back to the original thing with, you know, the whole AAA gaming thing, what they do here, you know, the whole battle pass thing, you know, they make you work and they literally work for a specific item as opposed to, you know, earning the credits, right, the way you would by playing games, and then you use those credits to buy the specific item in the customization menu that you want, similar to, like, say, Halo Reach, or really a lot of older games, as opposed to what they have here, where they tie the progression to their battle pass and their fee to play type monetization aspect type whatever, and you know, they get you to pay for things that you would otherwise be free, and also that you would never use, and unlock it through. And here's the thing: is you used to be able to unlock all this stuff through merit. Now they make it kind of a grind wall or a pay wall, depending on the game. And it's usually in a game. And in some of these games, as I mentioned, it's usually a game with a sticker price on it. You know, like the EA games and stuff. Obviously, Halo Infinite, it's free, but that doesn't change the fact of what it is. They're still nickel and diming you. They still removed color customization just so that they can do that. So that they can nickel and dime you. As opposed to, having the color customization still be in, and then having armor coatings, which they could have, you know, done through their battle pass or whatever, you know, similar to the Master Chief Collection. But instead, you know, the armor coatings only affect the pattern of which your primary and secondary colors appear on your armor. So, like, different armor coatings would have different patterns and would have different placements of where your primary and secondary colors would be on your person, compared to being pre-made color, like just pre-made armor coatings, like armor colors that you plop on your essentially skins. They're pre-made skins. That's a term.
Yeah, I can't have that.
And it sucks too, because like Halo's always been really fun. Customization's always been a big part of Halo. And now we have this.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a kick in the teeth, and again goes just into the idea that the game devs, at least so it seems, no longer really care about making a good product. It's all about the glorious dollar at the end of the day. And that's not to say, and I should note, that's not to say that I think game developers should be working for free or for pennies. That they shouldn't be
No,
getting
but that's why
a
you charge for
value,
the
making
game.
a living off their product. But at the same point, it's like there's a difference between that and going and using predatory mechanics and purposely making shit products just so that you can charge more for parts you have already cut out of it. It's like, if you're going to sell something, sell the whole damn thing. Don't sell your product and then be like, oh, hey, you got the toy, but it's going to be an extra $50 for the batteries. It's like, come on.
That's why they charge for the game that way. But
Exactly. It's like that should be the entire purpose of why the game has a price tag to it.
we got another story here. This is the last one of the episode, and that is Skull and Bones devs troubled development. So this is actually Ubisoft title. This was that naval combat game that was really built like, okay, after the success of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, they decided, okay, let's make a game based entirely around the naval combat. It's going to be, originally it was going to be a multiplayer only and naval combat only. Like, you weren't on foot, you were just the ship battling other ships or other players' ships. Then they added a on foot aspect, and turns out it was entire like mess. So, Ubisoft Skull and Bones has seen multiple delays since its E3 reveal in 2017, and has been in development for 8 years. Recently, Kotaku reported on the title's development difficulties as it spoke with more than 20 former and current staff members from the game studio. The expose notes that a lack of clear direction, changes in leadership, and multiple redesigns contributed to its long development cycle. The game's development began in 2013 as an expansion to Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and eventually became what is known as Skull and Bones. The title never had a clear creative vision behind it, sources told Kotaku. Leadership would receive feedback from Ubisoft editorial Paris headquarters, and would respond by changing everything, which happened often. Skull and Bones has had 3 creative directors overseeing the project, and sources claim that changes in leadership further delayed development. A new creative director would be assigned and would bring with them their own team. This would result in then current producers, game directors, and creative leads leaving or being pushed out. This accompanied multiple redesigns for the game as the development team went back and forth on fundamental questions, such as whether people would play as a ship or as a person. Multiple and contradicting trailers have portrayed. With so many changes in direction, development schedule would be continually pushed back. Skull and Bones' most recent release window is now Ubisoft's fiscal year of 2022, which we covered in an episode a few months back. Responding to Kotaku, Ubisoft confirmed that Skull and Bones production has just passed alpha. Yeah. So this was a game that I remember when it first came out, I was interested, but I didn't like the idea of only playing as a ship. And then when they revealed that you would be able to play, it would be more along the lines of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, where it's like, okay, you can park your ship essentially at islands and go on foot and stuff. I liked it, but then again, like, that was it. It was just like a cinematic trailer, and they never showed anything. Just keep getting delays and delays. Now we know why, because it's a mess behind the scenes. Another Anthem type mess. It's reminding me a lot of Anthem.
Too, when it's like, because it's like making games is a hard thing. It's very complicated, especially, it's far more complicated nowadays than it was, say, 5-10 years ago. Far more complicated. But at the same point, it's like, and I will say, it's good that they aren't just trying to push forward some buggy mess that they whip together in a month. They're like,
yeah, because they don't have a mess to begin with. Well, it is a mess. They don't have anything solid, though, to push.
But it's like, at the same point, it's like, they're going, oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. It's like, okay, but at the same point, like, how many people really have any faith in you as a publisher, let alone a developer, actually going and fixing these problems? It's like, how many fuck ups do you have to go through before it's, people have just lost all faith? And I feel like that's where we're getting with a lot of these AAA game companies, in that there's just fuck up after fuck up after fuck up. And again, it's not all just one company. I mean, but we're seeing with like Cyberpunk, Bethesda, Ubisoft, just
It's the
time
industry
after
as a whole. I
time.
think it's safe to say it's the industry.
Yeah, it's like, where is it, like if you were a credit company, or you were a construction company with this many fuck ups, you'd be fucking gone. Or at least your leadership would be completely tossed out, and you would have new leadership being brought in specifically to go and address these issues that you're having. But with game companies, it's like, at most we hear, oh, this creative director was fired, and someone else came in, but there's still issues, and oh, we fired them. And it's like, okay, but that tells me then that the issue is not coming from your creative directors, or at least not solely from them. Not to say they can't be a problem point too, but that the underlying issue is somewhere further up the chain of people making these decisions, fucking around, and no one is bothering to call them out on their bullshit.
Well, I mean, we are, but who's going to listen to us?
Oh yeah, but I mean, and I'm sure all
no one in
two of our
power is going to
followers-
call out their bullshit.
Yeah, no one that matters, no one who's actually a mover and shaker is able to call them out on this shit.
So this
And
was
it's sad.
an unfortunate, because like this was a game that had potential but clearly had no direction.
Well, and I mean, how many games that is described nowadays?
I would say 90.
Because it's like
92.5%.
you have so many great ideas. Now that being said, having an idea is easy. It's like, the number of times I've seen, like, I oftentimes I'm over at Nexus Mods, and
Right.
it's like the number of times I see people are like, hey, I have an idea. I want some modder to go and make my idea for me because it's such a great idea. And it's just like, that's not how this works. Your idea might be the best one ever, but sorry, you can't just expect someone else to do all the work and then claim credit because you had an idea, and no.
Unless you're working with that modder to make it. Yeah.
Unless you're doing some of that work here, or you are hiring people to go and do the work to carry out your idea. That's one thing. But to expect someone to be doing it for free or anything like that, not coming. But at the same point, it's like, so like I said, having an idea is easy. Carrying it out to an execution to where you see that idea fulfilled is a hell of a lot harder. But for example, look at CIG. I mean, you literally had Chris Roberts was a game developer.
He still does some of the coding.
I want to make this game.
He does some of the coding according to CIG employees.
Yeah, he's not just sitting in an office, like, looking over everyone's shoulder, not doing, like, he's actually doing some of the work along with the management aspects of it too. And it's like, with that, you have a person that, one, actually knows the industry, so they're able to easily go and be like, hey, I have an idea of what we need. But even if you don't, okay, get together a team, get some investors on the project, start working on it, make it a reality. But as it seems with a lot of these game companies, it's not about making the product, it's about making the dollar. And so once the dollar's in the bank account, they no longer care about the product.
It's funny because the analogy you use is kind of making me think, if the gaming industry were, if say cooking a kitchen appliance industry was run the way the gaming industry is, lawsuits everywhere.
Oh yeah. Because like I said, gaming.
Imagine you get like a KitchenAid blender that runs the way that, like, Fallout 76 does. Oh my god, you'd have. First off, it would be lethal. First off, it would be lethal. Second off, it's like you have so many problems. Like, that's the thing, is only the game. Like, it only works here because it's not regulated and because of of what they do. Like if it were any other industry, all these practices, and honestly, all these practices, anyways, of course, I'm referring to like the detrimental quality and decline in quality of the product itself.
How many
I'm not talking about the treatment.
Made.
I'm not talking about like the harassment stuff, but the harassment's not fine either way. Like the harassment stuff's evil, no matter where or what. I'm saying like the quality, like okay, the game itself is crap. It's just a cheap cash grab that they made. Little minimum effort, maximum profit type thing. And if you try to do that in really any other industry,
well, I mean, look at if you were like making cars. Oh, we're gonna have this car. We're gonna have these features, and you get there, and it's barely held together by some fucking wood screws.
So a Drake
the power steering doesn't work at all. You have to manually turn the engine. The engine doesn't even work, and you're practically pedaling the car around. They're like, hey, we put our best effort forward. So, thanks for your money. Bye. Like, no, you'd be sued out of fucking existence. It's like I can understand when there are setbacks and coding isn't a easy thing when you're trying to make a game.
Look, game development is probably one of the hardest things out there, but at the same time, and I do not I don't think I can stress that enough. Like it is definitely really it's a difficult task. Like people the coders and devs really deserve a lot of praise for the work they do, but at the same time. And then this isn't against them. This is against the corporations like EAs and Bethesda,
the publishers,
Activision,
who go
Blizzard.
And say, hey, we're pushing the game anyway, even though the devs are all saying, no, it is not ready.
Yeah, it's the
like, well, we said well, I told them that it was going to be ready by this time, so
I don't know where I was going with that actually. Okay, so this is an interesting topic. I just want to cover this real quick, and then we're done. And that is, yeah. Then, so the Super Hot VR game?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay, so how there's a scene in it where you have to shoot yourself?
Nope, never played it.
Okay, well, there's a scene where you have to shoot yourself. It's like it's essentially a very interesting story where you're like essentially at one point being told to be a good dog, and like you're essentially obedient to this computer program that runs the game or whatever.
So essentially it's a computer program that's in BioShock.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of like this evil thing. Makes you do things that you wouldn't normally do. And so at one point it's like, show us that you are obedient or something like that. And like it gives you a gun, you have to shoot. It turns out they removed the seed from the game. Because it was it was targeted by review bombing as a result, and then became the target of review bombing because of it, because they removed it. Like it's definitely in line with the game's story. Like it's very much a dark story.
If it's something that some people don't like, I would go and put an option in that you would have a toggle at
You mean like skip disturbing scenes toggle that was added in previous update here?
Well, I mean, it's like because it's like I remember like Call of Duty, I think, had something like that where it's like, hey, there might be some disturbing scenes here. If you don't want to view it, choose this option, and you won't see it. And it's like, boom, there you go. So it's like just give players an option that if they want to go and see the game as it was intended to be, there you go, you've got the option. And if they don't, okay, boom, there's the option. Make it optional. Don't specifically go and just be like, we're just ripping content out of the game because some people were loud enough to bitch and moan and cry about it that didn't like it. Well, that's my take on it anyway.
Yeah. I was trying to obey. This is the scene. There's literally a scene where it's like it tells you obey, and then you have stuff. So.
What would be even funnier is if there were there were other options, like hidden options, where it's like they tell you, you got to shoot yourself, but it's like, if you shoot this one thing over here, then you get this hidden scene or some shit like that.
And there is that kind of stuff in this game, like
there you
stuff. Go. Yeah, it's a VR game. They do a lot of stuff like that, and it's probably one of the cooler VR games I've seen out there. Super hot, it's like it's got that. What's the gimmick is time moves when you move. So. You essentially
what if
you're in the Matrix. If you don't move at all, then time doesn't really move. Yeah.
Excellent. We'll go with that.
It's a cool concept. I just don't think that, the whole scene kind of fits the really dark undertone of the story that they tell through the game.
We'll just turn on the light.
Let's see. So missed some comments here. Victor said the Infinite gameplay looks interesting. Cats and dogs are adorable as friends. Says, sorry I've been silent. I was on Twitter. You should definitely apologize for that.
Yeah, how fucking dare you?
The Nerdporial Lifeform says, hi, Cast in the Shadows, and says hi to everyone else in the chat. Saying, review bombing. When more people want to voice their disappointment, creators gotta own. Says, quick and easy is how you bake a cake, or clean a toilet bowl, or shop by mail. But quick and easy is not how to run a multi-billion-dollar business. Yves Parrott from Tango and Cash. That's actually a good movie. Yeah.
And it seems like that's a lot of it, not just like gaming. It seems that's
he said multi-billion-dollar company business, so
yeah,
that already branches into a lot of things. And Nerdporial says, here to lend some support. Smash that like button. Yes, everyone, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed.
Please be kind to the like button. Give it hugs. Don't hit it. Hard.
It's a bad. I guess it'd be a bad plug, wouldn't it? Because they're saying smash. Anyway, yes, give us a thumbs up or thumbs down if you don't like. Do what you want. I'm not holding a gun to your head. I'm not holding a gun to your head. Do what you want. But I am holding a gun to Cam's head, so.
Is that what that was? You told me it was a toaster.
Actually, I told you it was a stapler, but toaster would have made more sense.
Toaster. What's the difference?
One staples toast. The other one toasts toast.
The other one toasts staples?
Yes.
Just remember the magic words. What could possibly go wrong?
Nerd Portal says, if you hug the like button, then you might undo the like. But yeah, that's indeed, shoot that like button. Yes, shoot it. Shoot it like your life depends on it.
Because it does.
Yep.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, that's really it. I guess Wednesday is our next episode at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific.
And who knows, by then 3.14 might be out.
Hopefully. Oh god, if it is out, we're going to do a live playthrough. Oh, totally.
I mean, if they want to just see fucking 30Ks left and right, okay.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, come on, it'd be so much fun, though. You can do some, like, turret combat. I don't know if you tried, like, just sitting or flying around with someone in your turret and you're doing bounty hunting missions, but it is really fun.
I have heard it's better. I haven't done too much on the PTU with it yet, but speaking of a 3.14, so now that ballistics are pretty much an alpha strike weapon, does that mean that with my little Pisces I can finally make it a terrifying terror?
I mean, there was nothing stopping you before. I turned my Aurora into a terrifying monster. So
yeah, but the Aurora still has more armor than the fucking Pisces.
True, plus it's got 2 shield generators.
The Aurora has 2?
Yeah.
Fucker.
And they're bulwarks.
Like honestly, give the fucking Pisces some armor value. Like,
I think it's fine with 1 shield.
10.
I think it's fine with 1 shield, but it definitely needs more armor value. Definitely needs.
Again, or even like I'm hoping once they have like physicalized armor and shit, maybe I'll be able to fucking slap some additional armor on the damn thing. Like, I'm fine if it's not quite as maneuverable and nimble, but I just want it so that like handheld rifles don't kill the damn thing.
Remember when we tried that?
I remember.
Yeah, if 3.14 goes live before or by Wednesday, essentially, if it's live by the time we go live at 6 on Wednesday, then we're playing it. If not, then we're gonna be, I guess, doing an update video on Activision Blizzard stuff. Because that will be fun. Yeah, I think that's...
Were there any changes to the roadmap recently?
No. Aside from the hacking getting...
Yeah, which sad, not surprised, but sad.
Everything under 3.14 though is finished.
Yes, or at least being polished.
Right, so like that's all done. It's just we're just waiting for it to go live. The PU, the persistent.
I guarantee though more stuff from 3.15 is gonna slide. Guarantee it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I do hope none of the medical gameplay though.
Yeah, if there's two things I want to stick for 3.15, it's medical and personal inventory. Everything else can come later. Those two are going to be huge game changers.
Yeah. Hopefully, though, it is live. Either I suspect it's going to be Thursday or Friday, but I hope it's Wednesday. At least tomorrow.
Heck, it could be tomorrow. Theoretically.
Could be tonight.
It could be right now.
Not gonna lie, I'm checking right now.
Oh my gosh! No.
Not. Alright, but yeah, so that's gonna wrap it up for for episode 34. Tune in Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern for The Leftovers, episode 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Can we count that high?
I just did. But actually, no, crap, we can't. There's only 1 and 0. Alright, well, everyone have a great evening, or morning, or afternoon, or whatever the hell it is, wherever the hell you are, and whenever the hell you're watching. Whether you're catching this live or watching the replay. Hope you guys enjoyed and found us, at the very least, entertaining, if not informative. And, yeah. Thanks for watching.
Don't drive like my co-pilot.
I'm not that bad. I am that bad.
This is bad comedy.
It was one time you took down the entire Aspire Grand.
This is bad comedy. This is this is